Hello and welcome to another video of Chubby My Muffin. Today I'll be doing another react to WatchMojo. It's episode 5 and it is top 10 horror movies of all time. Hope you enjoy, but I really don't want to be disappointed again. I'm more of a sort of psychological horror person, you know. I really love those sort of films, so here we go.
Oh, the horror. The horror! Welcome to WatchMojo.com, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 horror movies of all time. This is part of a series of videos spanning the decades of horror cinema from the 1920s to the 2000s.
Yeah, you're gonna love this one. It's a scream, baby.
Number 10, Friday the 13th.
Not bad enough. Friday the 13th. We got a full moon, too.
Can't comment on Friday the 13th. Of course, we all know the iconic mask of Jason, and I don't know. I can't comment. I've never seen it.
Kicked off the longest-running horror franchise of all time. This cheaply made sleeper hit was developed as a response to the success of Halloween and other holiday-themed horror flicks.
Oh, my sweet, innocent Jason.
Sean S. Cunningham created something unstoppable, though. What started off as a revenge thriller about a killer stalking sex-crazed teens at...
It sounds like, you know, usual slasher movies, but, yeah.
Camp Crystal Lake
It has a sort of good tale to it, you know.
Iconic masked faces in horror, and which also spawned sequels, spin-offs, a TV series, books, comics, video games, you name it.
But the annoying thing is, they always, once you made these slasher movies, they want to try and make more, you know, just to get your attention, of course, but you just make one, shock people, and it stays with you. You make more, and it's kind of like, oh, do you know which that one and that one? Just watch the film.
Jason has been to hell and back many times, and it seems like nothing is going to stop him. Number 9, Rosemary's Baby.
Of course, I've seen that scene before. It's a bit where Jason just totally takes this woman down to the river lake. I find that funny. Number 9, Rosemary's Baby. I've seen it. Love the film. I think it's a really good psychological horror film. If you have not seen my film review on the film, please check it out. And also check everything else I've done. It does me a huge favour.
We have to make a baby.
Having already given us the shocking and disturbing Repulsion, and the horror comedy The Fearless Vampire Killers earlier in the 1960s.
And you will be able to dance.
No one expected Roman Polanski to top it all off with his greatest masterpiece in 1968.
It's a masterpiece. Look at his eyes.
What have you done to its eyes?
One of the most atmospheric and poetically haunting horror films of all time. Rosemary's Baby plays
It's a classic
a mother's
controversial movie.
paranoia
I love
during
it.
her pregnancy.
Somebody help me!
The Oscar-winning film follows Mia Farrow with these probing questions. Can I trust my neighbors? Is my husband out to get me? Will I give birth to a demon child? Questions every mother has asked herself, right?
What have you done to him, you maniac?
Satan is his father, not Guy.
Number 8.
It's a really good film, and I'm glad that that's in it. I really am. So let's just check out what's more. See what the WatchMojo's opinions are.
The Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Come on, Franklin. It's gonna be a fun trip.
The early 70s were a time of cinematic experimentation, and horror directors were doing their best to push the limits of what they could show on screen. Professor-turned-rogue filmmaker Tobe Hooper had no studio telling him what to do. Just a camera, a couple of friends, and the hot Texan sun.
Sally, I hear something. Stop! Stop!
What they created is one of the most unrelenting and visceral projects.
I mean, I have the T-shirt of when he's running away from this house. To be honest, before I was like 10 or 11, and I knew most about the film. I just thought it was, but it's completely different to what I have imagined.
Whose story of a family of cannibals who attack an unsuspecting group of teens was inspired by the killings of a real-life murderer. Nightmare-inducing, gritty, and way too realistic. This one should only be seen on an empty stomach.
Before we go on to number 7, just give me 2 minutes. The film has always been a brilliant masterpiece of horror movie. It's always been a great genre of films. If I just hang on, bear with me. No, but of course, I'm more of a psychological horror movie guy. But horror movies it's different to psychological, but psychological is in the head, where horror is more. It can be anything. It can be in the mind, a slasher, you name it. So, moving back to my Scott Pilgrim collection. Okay, sorry about that, guys.
Number 7, A Nightmare on Elm Street. Director...
To be honest, I find the deaths stupid, to be honest. I've seen all the deaths from all the films, and it's good. It's really dark. The way it's really dark, the story and everything, but it's silly.
Wes Craven was inspired by the true story of a group of people who actually died while they were dreaming, and created a man of your nightmares. Putting a twist on the whole slasher craze, this dark fantasy series follows the demented and unrelenting Freddy Krueger, a demonic child killer and king of one-liners.
Come to Freddy.
Who's able to enter your dreams and use creative ways to end your life. Something as innocent as a nap can mean death for the kids of Elm Street. Try as they might.
It's always one thing that annoys me. Once someone's chasing you, you don't run into a house. Why do they always fucking do that? But anyway.
Stay awake.
What the fuck? Oh, that's brilliant.
12 years later, he would help rejuvenate the horror genre with the slasher classic Scream.
What's your favorite scary movie?
I don't know.
You have to have a favorite. What comes to...
Favorite scary movie. I have no idea. I don't have a scary movie.
Halloween.
Number 6, Night of the Living Dead.
They're coming for you. Look, there comes one of them now.
One of the most controversial movies of all time, of course, leading this film with a black guy. But again, I really can't comment on this film. But let's see what they have to say.
The little film that could. This indie masterpiece, with its do-it-yourself horror aesthetic, inspired the likes of Sam Raimi and countless other future backyard home movie filmmakers.
The wave of murder which is sweeping the eastern third of the nation is being committed by creatures who feast upon the flesh of their victims.
And it also gave birth to a little something we call the modern zombie. With its deep social commentary and an original storyline that we've now heard hundreds of times, this sci-fi horror film sees the...
Sci-fi? No, it's just a zombie film. It's just zombies. So it's horror, obviously. But, it's good. I mean, I like it when they shock people around the times.
The reanimated dead begin to roam the earth, looking to eat the flesh of the living. Story revolves around a group of poor unfortunate souls that gets trapped in a small farmhouse and is soon surrounded by the undead. Lock up
Yeah, but how do they all go to the farmhouse? That's what I don't understand.
by a shot in the head or a heavy blow to the skull.
Number 5. Dracula.
Bloody hell.
One of the most iconic big screen portrayals of one of the most
It's
iconic villains of all
boring.
time makes the top 5 of our horror
Yes, of course, Dracula films are... They deserve to be in the horror movies and all, but... Because when you think of horror, you think of Dracula. Vampires, or whatever. It's not in the 5th best film.
movies of all time list.
I bid you welcome.
I
Nosferatu
bid
was
you to
taking
fuck
over the
off.
world, and Universal Studios decided to adapt the play that already had Bela Lugosi in the lead.
Children of the night. What music they make.
While the studio also released the equally iconic Frankenstein film that same year, there's no ignoring the fact that there have been hundreds of Draculas that have graced our screens in the last 100 years,
Yeah.
and people today will still do a Bela Lugosi impression when pretending to be the king of vampires.
Your will
I just find them boring. There's nothing great about them.
strong, Van Helsing.
Although Christopher Lee's reimagining, starting with 1958's horror of Dracula, is a close second, Lugosi's eerie gaze and hypnotizing voice will never be forgotten.
Indeed.
Of course, when it's with Peter Cushing, one of the greatest actors of the 20th century, and Christopher Lee, you have two amazing actors just doing Van Helsing and Dracula, and I like that film. Hammer Horror used to do some good films, but I just find it boring, the whole "I love you, Dracula" and "I love you too" bollocks, you know.
Number 4, Halloween. Masked killers were big in the 70s. Audiences demanded more blood and gore, and they needed faceless monsters they couldn't empathize with.
What's the boogeyman?
Enter John Carpenter's stroke of genius, Halloween. What later became
Halloween. Can't comment on it. It's, of course, one of the most known slasher movies and horror movies, and I like The Mask. But, and of course, John Carpenter is a very, very good director. But, yeah.
the prototype for every slasher film since, and is today considered a dark masterpiece. Started out as an idea for a cheapo film about a psychotic murderer stalking babysitters. But in the brilliant hands of Carpenter and Deborah Hill, where we follow Michael Myers returning to Haddonfield to finish up his murder spree, you get one of the most profitable indie films ever made. Number 3.
I don't understand why they do it. That's the thing with most of these slasher movies I've never seen, but know most of the film detail. I don't understand why they do it. I don't know their origin.
The Shining.
Wendy, I'm home.
Master filmmaker
Oh yeah, I've seen this film, and it's a masterpiece of a horror film. Genius. One of Stanley Kubrick's best films, and Jack Nicholson's performance is the best.
Stanley Kubrick has successfully turned every genre into cinematic art. Comedy, drama, war film, sci-fi, historical epic.
They had to resort to cannibalism in order to stay alive.
Which is why people anxiously awaited to see what he would do with horror.
True, you are losing my mind. It is a very good psychological horror movie with slasher moments and of course a bit of gore everyone wants. It's just a really well done film. Of course, the book is still very good, but I can't comment on which one I would choose to prefer of the film or the book.
He took another master's source material and turned Stephen King's already classic novel into what was hailed as a masterpiece in modern horror.
You didn't let me finish my sentence. I said, I'm not gonna hurt you. I'm just gonna bash your brains.
Unforgettable performances, iconic imagery and dialogue, stunning locations, ominous camera work, Jack Nicholson's descent into insanity boils ever so slowly below the surface. The people can only stare in stunned terror and pray it never happens to them.
Lovely, a brilliant film.
Here's Johnny.
Number 2.
It's a really good film. I just love the film. This list is going quite well so far, I must say. It's got some good films. Of course, you would suspect them to be in this list, and I'm hoping number 1 will be what I really hope it will be. Whatever that sentence means. Yeah, yeah.
The Exorcist. What an excellent day for an exorcism.
Your mother sucks cocks in hell, Paris, you faithless swine.
Take a brilliant director and cast, amazing source material, experts in sound, editing, lighting, and unforgettable special effects. And what do you get? The most iconic images in horror cinema. An exercise in terror that dares...
Can't comment, to be honest. I've never seen it, but everyone knows this film. It's just horror of the genre is very good. I mean, of course, you have the known iconic face of the girl. It's just one of the most controversial movies of all time, and known as one of the most scariest movies of all time. And one day I will see it and review it and get hundreds of views.
...you to keep watching. And a film that had audience members throwing up and passing out. Meet little Reagan, who shouldn't be playing with Ouija boards. She's just a kid, who now has a demon inside her.
How long are you planning to stay in Reagan?
Until she rots and lies stinking in the earth.
Get ready to never sleep again.
The power of Christ compels you! That the power of Christ compels you!
Before we dig into our top pick, here are a few honorable mentions.
I can go slow ahead. Come on down and chum some of this shit.
I love that movie. Jaws is a masterpiece, and these honorable mentions are normally actually better than the entire list. I mean, look at this, Blair Witch Project, another masterpiece of a film.
Love you, Mom. Dad. I'm so sorry.
Groovy.
Clear!
Uh,
Clear.
Number 1.
right, number 1 will come in a minute. Honorable mentions. I love the honorable mentions. Are always better. I mean, you just got Jaws, a masterpiece. You got Blair Witch Project, a 20th century late masterpiece. Never seen Saw, can't be bothered. The Thing is a masterpiece of a sci-fi horror movie, and number 1 is, as I thought it would be,
Psycho. This is a prime example of an established director taking on disturbing macabre material and turning it into gold.
Hitchcock, one of my favorite directors of all time. Norman Bates, and of course, what's your name? Anthony Perkins does one of the best performances of all time, in my opinion. Norman Bates is just a very good horror character, and it's psychological horror. It's not your horror. Of course, it influenced slasher movies.
How does one follow up brilliant thrillers like Vertigo and North by Northwest? Give the audience the shock of their lives. A stunning vision of unrelenting terror. Hitchcock went full-on horror for this twisted tale of mommy issues, brutality, abusive insanity, and sexual violence. And yet, it was all done with such style and grace.
We're all in our private traps.
Checking into Norman Bates Motel would be the most fatal mistake of your life, but it's a must-watch horror film. And while
Hitchcock and Kubrick, they're geniuses of the film history. They make these masterpiece of films, and they're just very clever, and they know how to do horror movies and other sorts of films, and their angles and screenplays and writing is just magnificent.
he'd also give us the terrifying and suspenseful The Birds 3 years later. There's no denying the impact and influence of this psychological thriller on the horror and slasher genres today.
They'll see and they'll know, and they'll say, why, she wouldn't even harm a fly.
Do you agree with...
Psycho is number 1, and I'm very glad that it was, because I didn't want to be disappointed. This is actually probably the best one, to be honest, I've done. I mean, there's so many good and surreal horror movies. Yeah.
Our list.
Yeah, sure.
What do you think is the best horror movie of all time? For more horrific top 10s published every day, be sure to subscribe to WatchMojo.com.
Tequila is my lady! My lady! Come on in, guys. Come on in. Come on in. You're welcome.
Okay. That was WatchMojo's list top 10 horror movies of all time. And, yeah, I gotta be honest, that was good. It was good. It was really good. It is my favourite genre, to be honest. It's a very good genre of movies, and there were some really good films. So I'm actually happy, put a smile on my face. But of course that wasn't really a smile, was it? Okay, so thank you very much for watching. Please like and subscribe. It does me a huge favour. Always appreciated. Please request any album or film. And have a nice day, stay safe, and God bless. And thank you. Thank you very much. Goodbye.